Sup nerds, in today's tutorial I have built a lead generator in N8N. As you can see here, we have the phone numbers and websites, so we're easily able to research and contact each of these business leads. Now this does work through Google Maps, and socials are not always listed, but when they are, we're ready to catch them. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Reddit, anything. We've also got their reviews, the type, and the address. And in this video, I'm going to show you how this lead generator works specifically, so you'll be able to spin up something like this yourself. But before we jump into it, if you want to build something like this for yourself, head to the description and you can book a free one-on-one meeting with me to get started with N8N and learn to build this for yourself. Now you'll see what I have done here, and I promise this isn't as complicated as it looks. It all starts here. All the manual trigger really does is just give you a button that executes the workflow. It's really not that fancy. The settings is an edit fields node, and you'll see that's where we store the URL and a couple of other useful variables that we can use later on in our workflow. Now this gets all of our zip codes and subcategories from our Google Sheet. Specifically, it looks through these zip codes right here. Something I really like about this workflow is it actually tracks which zip codes it's done already. So that way each time you hit the manual trigger to execute the workflow, it'll actually work on a different zip code. And you see we've been pretty thorough with how many different codes we want to cover. Now, how do we keep track of which ones we've done already? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It's with this filter node here. It just checks that the status is empty, and as you can see, the status is empty on the columns where the zip codes haven't been done yet. So the next time I hit execute workflow, it's going to go with that zip code. And here's the variable it checks right here, and that's pretty easy to do. All we're doing is we're referring back to that settings node and watching, okay, where is the URL of our sheet? There it is. And what sheet are we looking at? The Google Maps categories. That's this sheet right here. Now you'll notice that's a lot of different subcategories, 118 of them, in fact, which means we're going to need to filter them again. Now look at this. It checks the status for ignore. Now you'll see most of these are marked as ignore. Law firm is the only one that is not marked as ignore. And that's why that is specifically the one that we're pulling right here, and we've discarded all the other 117. Now what I really like about this is it has a loop within a loop, which means it's going, if it gets more than one subcategory that is not marked as ignore, then this is going to automatically loop through each one. Now, this Gmaps API node is where the magic actually happens. I gotta tell you, this is why the HTTP request node is one of my favorite nodes in N8N, because you can point it anywhere you want. It takes a little bit of know-how to set it up, so it's not quite as beginner friendly as something like OpenAI's new Agent Kit feature, but that learning curve turns into a lot of power once you master it. Now you see we hit the googleapis.com URL with places. Now our body parameters just include text query, and this is our value that gets put into our Google Maps search, just law firm 85004, since, that was the zip code that ran on the last run, and that gave us back all of these law firms. Oh, look at that. It even gives us the review of the businesses. That's interesting. I wonder if I ought to modify this further to include the reviews so we can research them further based on that. That would be interesting. In any case, that is the Gmaps API request that pulls all of our leads. Now, I know this bunch of nodes looks scary. Pretty much all it does is clean up our data and add it to our Google Sheet. So we're doing things like making sure the dataset we just got isn't empty, removing the duplicates from said dataset, adding the rows to the Google Sheet, and then we are getting the status of the exact query that we used in the Google Sheet. So for this example, we are double checking the status of that exact query that we just used, the zip code plus the subcategory. And then in this node, we go ahead and update it to scraped. See, check this out. And pretty much all this stuff is just some glorified retry logic. But that's enough messing around with showing you how it works. Now it's time to show you guys a little bit of a test run. So as you can see, my Google Sheets, it's empty starting about here, so we should see some leads come in. So let's go ahead and check our Google Sheet. And just like that, we can see we've got some fresh new leads. Here's our phone numbers to go ahead and contact them. Here's their websites, reviews, addresses. What more could you want? So that wraps up this little showcase tutorial video. I hope you guys learned something and got inspired to build something awesome for your business in N8N. And if you want to build something like this for yourself, check out the link in the description to book a free one-on-one with me so you can learn how to do this yourself. And with that, be sure to leave a like, share your thoughts with the class, and before you subscribe, make sure you know what you're doing, because it ain't easy being at the top. I'll see you guys next time.